Hello Super Sentai fans and welcome back to Toku Topics. Today I'm taking a look at least half of the brand new second set of Yudo figures from Avataro Sentai Donbrothers. So I have not been collecting the Yudo figures that much for this line. I have a couple of them, but I mainly decided to go with the Change Hero series figures this year because I just prefer the already painted look of the figures. However, you might have seen a video that I posted last month where I actually did buy the Yudo accessories box as well as the Inu brother figure, which actually was the same thing, to be able to give my Momotaro a nice colored Dawn Blaster and the Zonglass sword and everything like that. And then I did get one other actual figure from Yudo Set 1, which was the Zengaiser Black figure, because this Zengaiser Black figure was more accurate in the Yudo than it was in the Change Hero, and they are the same scale and everything like that. It's just this one had a better, more accurate buckle and cape piece and everything, so that's what we went with that. Now, what I have here today is half of the most recent set that just released at the end of October, which is Yudo Set 2. And these are two figures that are only in Yudo. There is no Change Hero counterparts of them already released or on the way, and so they were must-haves for the collection, and that includes the two boxes that make up the GoldonMomotaro figure, which is really cool that we have a figure of this new power-up form, which is achieved using the Omikoshi Phoenix, which if you have not seen, I did a video on that the other day. It's a really cool toy, very comprehensive, a lot of stuff that it can do. So it's really cool that we have a figure of his power-up form here. And then also in this set, which I'm very excited to finally have a figure because I adore this suit, is DonMurasame, which is also made up with two boxes. So as I said, there is no Change Hero counterparts of these guys on the way. The only way to get figures of these are from the Yudo line here. Same thing with the Noto, who are getting a premium Bandai Yudo set releasing next month, which I have on pre-order. So I'm very excited to be able to add Sonoe, Sonoza, and Sononi to the collection next month. And I have been loving Donbrothers, so to have a very nice comprehensive figure line between Change Hero and Yudo kind of working in tandem together is really cool. Now I do want to thank my good buddy Chris Lawn over at Lawn's Toys from YouTube, who was able to hook me up with these because the box was like a box of 14 and he had a bunch of duplicates, so I bought one of his GoldonMomotaros and DonMurasames off of him. Now as you can see here, this is boxes 1, 2, 7, and 8. There are 8 boxes in this set, but I skipped boxes 3 through 6, and the reason because of that is because they are DonDragoku and DonTorabolt, which I didn't really need because I have the Change Hero version of DonDragoku/Torabolt, which you can swap between. Now there's some upsides there. I would kind of like to get a Yudo version of DonTorabolt, so that way I can have DonDragoku and Torabolt displayed at the same time, because there was that one episode where the two Jiro's personalities split into two, so technically that's a valid thing to display. And also the Ruko no Geki is infinitely more detailed and better looking on the Yudo versions than it is just this black like mold from the Change Hero. So there is some upsides to those versions, but I am not so heartbroken that I don't have that. Like I said, maybe I'll try to track down a Torabolt someday, but for now, this will do. GoldonMomotaro and Murasame, which is also really cool here. I was looking at this box. As much as this basically just seems to be the same legs as the regular Momotaro, which honestly, now that I think about it, that could actually be very handy, because the legs on this dude are horrible. So if I could, because he does split at the waist, so it actually maybe could work out to where I could have a new pair of Momotaro legs. But that also is what's cool here, is that you have the gun with the Omikoshi Phoenix, and then this Zonglass sword. We'll show it off better, and you can kind of see it here. It is different than the one in the initial accessory set, which was just a regular yellow plastic blade. But this one does have a sticker for the rainbow effect, like it's charged up for an attack, which is really cool. So I'm going to go and open these guys, stick them off of camera here, and then we're going to come back and take a look at the completed GoldonMomotaro and DonMurasame. Okay, so here is GoldonMomotaro and DonMurasame fully stickered up and assembled, and these are pretty good figures. They're pretty great, actually. So the stickering process wasn't too difficult. There was just a couple of little areas that were a little bit of a pain, but for the most part, I think that they turned out really good looking, as for basically what will more than likely be the only figures of these that exist. There is the vinyl figure for GoldonMomotaro, if you can even consider that a figure, but yeah, these are pretty good. What is interesting here is that there is one sticker option here you have, because sometimes these Bandai Candy Toy figures have like multiple different stickers for the same piece that you just have to choose which one you want to use, and in this case that was on the Zonglass sword here. So I talked about earlier how this version had this sticker option, which actually has the lights, like rainbow lights, like actually active on the saber. which looks really, really cool. And basically, this is pretty much for if you have the initial version of the Zanglass sword, to have one like lit up and one not lit up. But if you don't have the original version of the Zanglass sword, included are just the stickers for the regular mode. But since I already have that with DonMomotaro here, which I just have him as a torso right now, there was no real need to do that, so I did not. I chose the rainbow versions of that. So pretty interesting that they have that kind of choice there. I thought that was pretty neat. Now, of course, taking a look at the figures themselves, we'll start with GoldonMomotaro. So for stickers, it was like the peach on the head and the visor, and there was some of the white stripe and everything, and gold there, and some gold. Some of the most difficult ones were like right here, like right this little one right there, and then one in the front, which gets blocked by the big visor anyway. But yeah, pretty solid. And on the back, you have a sticker there, which obviously I think that this back sticker for the cape isn't perfect, because like technically the whole back should like have a kind of gold design on it like this. And maybe it would have been nice if it was just one big sticker, but at the same time that would have been a big pain. So they decided to kind of just have it fill in sort of this negative space and then the big Donbrothers logo. So it works for what it needs to do. You do have a very nice design back there with kind of the whole waves and everything. So, and of course this is just on a nice peg there. You can unpeg it if you do not want that on there, which is just nice. Obviously it's just a big piece of plastic, so it's going to make articulation still not bad, but posability wise you're not really going to get much of it out of the way. But yeah, that is GoldonMomotaro. One thing I did want to show, which I mentioned earlier, was could you swap the legs between this version, the Yudo version of DonMomotaro, and put the torso on here to give him more stable legs for the Change Hero? And technically you can do it. He will rest on there, but it will not peg on there. So if you wanted to give him some more sturdy legs, that is technically an option, but it's just not the best option. So unfortunately, you're still going to be stuck with these, if I can get that back on there, these terrible, terrible wobbly legs that the Change Hero DonMomotaro has. So I can definitely tell you that DonMomotaro is being swapped out of my display for GoldonMomotaro, but I feel like that does kind of make the most sense as of right now. So, because he is using this kind of primarily. Now, one other thing that I thought would maybe be kind of cool, but I knew it was going to be impossible, was could you take the armor and take it off and make it, you know, not fall over like that and put it on figures of some of the Senpaicher? No, you can't do that, but here he is next to another Yudo figure, the only other Red Ranger Yudo figure that I have, actually, Kirame Red. So obviously it scales, but there's no peg pieces or anything like that for the armors to be able to be compatible or any of that kind of thing. So that is not going to be something you can do with these, unfortunately, but it would have been kind of neat, but I never would have expected it. So that is pretty much it for the figure of GoldonMomotaro. Now, he does include a pretty good amount of accessories, if he will actually stand. So we already took a look at the Zanglass sword. Right here, it just kind of is in closer detail. They did actually make the spinning circle on it significantly smaller this time. I think actually a lot more accurate for the scaling of this. Last time it was pretty big, so they did actually remold it considerably, which actually, like I said, I think it looks better this time. Wow, Kirame Red just completely fell into a crevice. But you have, wow, everything is just falling over in this video. You do have a little handle grip there, so that way you can take the sword and put it into his hand this way. So you just peg it in like that, and then you take the bottom hilt piece and you clip it in like that, so it looks like his hand, and then you kind of rotate them. So it looks like his hand is holding the handle all the way through, even though it's not what's happening exactly, but you can kind of create that illusion, which is still pretty cool. And I do like that quite a bit. So there he is with that. And then of course he also has the Dawn Blaster with the Omikoshi Phoenix attached, which is considerably stickered. There's stickers all over the place, and they are trying to lift a little bit there on both sides. But the detail is definitely there, so there is that. And then you can take that and clip that into his hand. Would have been kind of neat if we had the version with the wings extended for the finisher, but you know, you get what you would probably want the most out of this, so I do quite like that. And then you do get some swappable hands that are kind of just some splayed open hands, which you could probably kind of, sort of, not really, but you could kind of maybe use them to pose, to kind of do like that peach, like, you know, in front of his eyes kind of thing that he does. It's not going to be perfect, but for like that kind of finisher, but it's just some splayed open hands. But that is pretty much it for GoldonMomotaro, the power-up of Donbrothers. And then what is probably the most exciting figure for me to finally have here is DonMurasame. I've wanted to figure this guy for a very long time, and I'm very happy that we have one, and it looks really good. His stickers are pretty decent. The most difficult ones were this entire white stripe around both of the shoulder pads were a sticker. Actually, it was 2 stickers for like each half of the shoulder pad, so that was a definite pain. But this is also a sticker there, which I think the coloring doesn't match perfectly between the purples, but it's still not too bad. And then the head had like the visor and the band and stuff like that. But overall, not too bad. But yeah, I mean, I think they captured the look of DonMurasame pretty nicely here. What is cool as well is that he has a holster on the back for the ninja sword. So you can take that, and I guess you would holster it like... Or actually, I don't know what I'm doing because I'm actually doing this incorrectly. That piece, I don't exactly know what the point of it is technically, because you can just peg the ninja sword. Oh, well, I guess it's for this. It's probably actually so you can have the hand have that and then still have the hilt attached. It's probably for something like that, I think is what it's supposed to be for. So you can have the ninja sword resting back there, which is a cool display because, you know, usually when he gets summoned, he's kind of like kneeling down, and then he kind of grabs the sword and stands up, you know. So that kind of thing. So that is pretty cool. You can also, if we kind of got the sword into his hand, you can sort of do the, I guess, kind of rock pose he would do when he's kind of spinning the wheel or the dial of the gear. So kind of do like either his alter form or some kind of finisher. So that is a terrible pose of this. I am not good at posing figures. I've never been, but I'm trying to get him like, I guess the better hand would be the whole splayed open hands, but there's kind of him with the ninja sword, something like that. So the ninja sword is very nicely stickered, so we'll take a good look at that. It does have the unique jaggedy edges and everything, so and the little dial there has all the Murasame detailing, so that looks really good. And like I said, I'm just really happy that we finally have a figure of Don Murasame, so you can have him fight your Don Brothers or your Noto when that set releases next month. And then we'll go ahead and attach the handle grip there. So we finally have our next, I guess, Don Brothers member. I mean, he's not a Don Brothers member per se. And I will actually go ahead and swap his hand there, just so we can have one of the splayed open hands kind of look like he's spinning the wheel of the ninja sword, or at least kind of holding it or something. That shoulder pad like does not get out of the way for you to look convincing that he's actually spinning that wheel whatsoever, but you can kind of get him into some kind of pose like this, like he just grabbed it or something. I guess that wouldn't really make sense because you grab it with the other hand, but you get what I'm going for. So there is Don Murasame, and of course, like I said, he had the splayed open hands, just like GoldonMomotaro did. And then really quickly here, before I wrapped it up, I wanted to go and show off the 3 Dons of Don Brothers. So we have GoldonMomotaro, DonDragoku, and DonMurasame, which look great together. So I'm really happy to have all of these figures look, and that my Don Brothers display can have the power-up form and the Evil Ranger. So with that is going to go ahead and do it with kind of my little showcase and review of the YUDO Set 2 Avataro Sentai Donbrothers, GoldonMomotaro, and DonMurasame figures. So as for right now, in terms of like how you could get these, the kind of best options would be like people selling them on Bai or Mandarake. I'm not sure if like places like AmiAmi or anything like that still have the box in stock that also gets to the YUDO versions of Dragoku and Torabolt. But I do highly recommend these figures. Huge thanks once again to my buddy Chris for hooking me up with these to be able to complete my Don Brothers collection. And be sure to stay tuned for my video next month when the Premium Bandai Noto set comes out, because I'm very excited for that. And be sure to check out my video reviews on figures like this and the other Chain Share ones, which will be in kind of the end card at the end of this video. So until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter, @LivinRangerKey or @LaneFigPR, and I will see you all later.